Life is Strange is truly special. Special in a way you can't really explain. Special in a way where it resonates so deeply with you that you can't get it out of your head. You're up all night because you can't stop thinking about it. This feeling is called love. Love for a game can be prevalent among players, or it can be super rare also. I fall into the category where this feeling is few and far between. A game to get such high praise from me needs to move me, make me think about life, and warm my very cold demeanor. But what makes this game so mystifying is that I have some major flaws with its gameplay, the very thing that makes games special. So when I say that I love Life is Strange, it doesn't mean that it's perfect, but it means that even with its flaws, Life is Strange manages to move me, and that is why this game is so special, because it's beautiful, amazing, but flawed, and I can't get enough of it. As you can see from the montage, this game is oddly beautiful. Because if you look at the character models, they look like they're ripped straight from a 2007 game. And not to mention the lip sync is just straight up terrible. But the game still finds a way to be beautiful. When you ignore the character models and the lip sync, this game is honestly awe-inducing. The realistic lighting blends in so well with this hand-drawn art style that it should be illegal. Even in some parts of the game, I had to stop and just take in the view. Luckily, the game knows this and gives you some options to sit and ponder life with Max. These parts are some of the best moments in the entire game, where it just lets you sit, only for you to be taken away by the beautiful visuals, the music, and the amazing voice acting done by Hannah Rebecca Telly. But most importantly, the visuals in Life is Strange tell stories of innocence, loneliness, reconnection, love, heartbreak, and hope. Without these visuals, all of these themes in the game would be lost and forgotten. But Life is Strange's visuals don't lose these themes, they elevate them. So when the loneliness, the love, the heartbreak, and the hope are presented, it will mean so much more to the player than any form of dialogue could ever convey. Music is an essential part of crafting a beautiful story. Music is arguably more important than any dialogue because music has the power to enhance our connection to a film, game, scene, or even a line of dialogue. Music is a very powerful tool that, if used right, can make a mediocre scene a great one. The music in Life is Strange is so good because the music captures the tone and mood and adds to this infectious atmosphere that this game has. Life is Strange is a melancholy game at its heart. It's about moving from a teenager to an adult. This period in time is so special because it's in those years where we start thinking about how we wish we could be a child again. The irony is that as a child, all we want to do is grow up, mature, and start making our own money. But as we get older, we start to realize that growing up just straight up sucks. Life is Strange is all about this transition, and the music captures this beautifully with either the rich, hopeful, and soft original score, or the melancholy, sad, bittersweet songs. Each piece of music in Life is Strange elevates a scene to greatness, but most importantly, the music captures the innocence, the loneliness, the reconnection, the love, the heartbreak, and the hope. Not one emotion is missing from this beautifully constructed soundtrack. So the music in Life is Strange is perfect. The visuals are great, albeit flawed, but the gameplay leaves much to be desired. The gameplay in Life is Strange is solely based around this rewind time gimmick. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, you can rewind any time in a choice game. Isn't that bad? And what I say to that is yes and no. No to the fact that rewinding time plays a major part in the emotions of the game, and yes to the fact that it isn't used to its fullest potential. So, in Life is Strange, you rewind back 2 checkpoints at most and have the choice of reversing your choices from those 2 checkpoints. Now, there are rare occasions where your power stops working for scripted sections, but for the most part of the game, you will be free of consequence. Yes, I know the whole point of the game is that whatever you choose, you can't escape the consequences. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the many big choices you make throughout the game, like Chloe killing Frank and his dog out of self-defense. Now, I'm not criticizing the actual choices, I'm criticizing the consequences. I'm talking about the fact of not going even further with the concept of rewinding time and the consequences that follow. For example, if Chloe kills Frank and his dog and you hate it, you can just rewind your choice without repercussions. To fix this, I think the game should have added an effect where if you rewind one of these big choices, the choice you choose instead once you rewind will have an even bigger consequence than if you would have picked it originally. This will give a player a second thought on if they would actually want to rewind to the different choice and the threat of having a bigger consequence in the future. We can even take this a step further with even the daily conversations in the game. For example, instead of unlimited rewinds during these conversations, you have a 20 to 30 times limit on your rewinds per episode, depending on the length. By adding this in the game, this would elevate the gameplay experience a lot more, because if you waste all your rewinds at the beginning of the episode, you will have none left for the rest of the episode, and if you don't use enough of them to revert bad decisions, consequences may be grave. So therefore, you have to choose carefully when and where you use your rewind. This gives the player even more choice by giving them the right to choose between which conversations are worth rewinding for. It honestly kind of baffles me that this isn't already in the base game, since the story so heavily puts emphasis on the fact that if you change time, there will be worse consequences than the original outcome. Because throughout the base game, for the most part, you are free of consequence until it's a scripted sequence or the ending of the game. If you put this on top of the previous thing I just mentioned, and a relationship system like Until Dawn, you truly have a more engaging gameplay experience than what's offered in the base game. Now, I'm no game designer, so if this is impossible due to the budget of the game or something else, I understand. I just like to offer alternatives to things that I complain about. But overall, the gameplay in Life is Strange is fine. But it could have been so much more. Life is Strange has terrific characters and an amazing story, but it's far from perfect. My major problems in the story have to do with the resolution of the mystery of Rachel Amber, the Kate Marsh scene, and the endings. Let's start with the Kate Marsh scene. The Kate Marsh scene, on a technical side, is actually very well done. The tension is well built, and visually the scene is amazing, and the build-up to your choices to this moment is fantastic. So what's my problem? The dialogue. The dialogue in the scene is surprisingly bad compared to the rest of the game. The dialogue in the scene reads like a bunch of 10-year-olds wrote it. Kate acts like a robot, saying things like, "That makes me feel better," and "Oh, you sound so persuasive, Max." When Kate said these 2 lines of dialogue, it pulled me straight out of the game and ruined the whole scene for me. Now, it's not just 2 lines of dialogue, it's the whole scene, even with Max. And sadly, the voice acting cannot save this scene. And what makes this even more frustrating is that this scene really only needs one fix. Make the dialogue more subtle and not so upfront. Make Kate seem like an actual human being going through the thoughts of suicide. As someone who went through this, I can say that this is not at all what people who have suicidal thoughts act like, and this scene just comes off as romanticizing it rather than sending a meaningful message. And for those who are asking, yes, I did save Kate on my first try. My second problem with Life is Strange is the resolution to Rachel Amber's mystery. Now, I have no problem with Jefferson being the killer. I actually love the concept of it, and it's built up really well. But my main problem is that when it's revealed to be Jefferson, his character just stays the same, but just more creepy. I wish that Jefferson's quirky personality was just a front, and that his actual personality is just a stone cold killer who likes to take photos of his victims before he kills them. Because what they have in the base game is honestly baffling. When it was revealed to be Jefferson, I was beyond excited, but my hopes were soon crushed when he started to speak. Instantly, I couldn't take him seriously, and that is a serious problem when he's supposed to be the big bad of the whole game. Again, this problem just has one fix, just better writing. Another problem that stems from the murder mystery is the fact that it starts to overshadow the other main plot points and themes. This problem leads to some major pacing problems in the final episode, but thankfully, doesn't ruin the game. Finally, my third and final problem with this game are the endings. Now, I want to clarify, these endings are not bad, they are actually pretty solid, but they both have huge problems. Let's start with the sacrificing Arcadia Bay ending. Personally, I think this is the better ending, but it has one glaring flaw. Why didn't Chloe or Max try to look for their friends and try to save them from the storm? It's obvious that they can do it because Chloe's truck survives the whole storm. This is easily fixed by adding a few more scenes. For example, after you choose to sacrifice Arcadia Bay, Max and Chloe should get into Chloe's truck and drive down to the town. Then throughout the rest of the section, you would be able to save your friends and Chloe's parents only if you had a good relationship with them. Then after that, you just keep the rest of the ending with a few more people in Chloe's truck. Now, let's look at the sacrifice Chloe option. My main problem with this ending is that Max has to go back in time to let Chloe die, but Max could just easily save Chloe again and just warn everyone about the incoming storm. So to fix this ending, that's what the developers should have had Max do. But as the rule of changing time, Max will have bigger consequences. If the player were to choose this ending, you save Arcadia Bay, but Max's parents die because another tornado hit Seattle, and since you'll be busy warning the whole town, your friendship with Chloe will never form. With these fixes, the endings will be better and keep the theme of consequences. Again, I'm no game designer, so if these endings were impossible, I understand. I just like to have alternatives to problems that I complain about. Now, since the negatives are out of the way, let's talk about the positives, because I truly do love this game. One of my favorite things about this game are the characters, because they're written like actual people. What I mean by this is that every character in Life is Strange is three-dimensional. Like in real life, not one character in this game has one singular trait. Each character has a past that has led to what they are now. For example, let's look at my favorite character in this game, Chloe. One of the main criticisms said about Chloe is that she is a brat, entitled, and plain unlikable. I think these criticisms are only surface level, because if you actually look deeper into her character, you will see why she is like that. Chloe is unlikable in some parts because she continuously blames others for everything that has gone wrong in her life. But she is like this because when her father died, she started to suppress her trauma, sadness, and anger for just blaming everyone else. Is it a bad flaw to have? Yes, because that's how humans are in real life. Everyone has that one crippling, terrifying, excruciating flaw. But as with real humans, there are good sides to Chloe. Her good side is that she is a loyal, charming, funny, and kind friend to Max, and Chloe does indeed grow throughout the game, and that is prevalent when she is willing to accept her death to save the people of Arcadia Bay. By the end of the game, she is not selfish anymore, she is selfless. And that's just one character out of this game. I'm not joking when I say that every character in this game is three-dimensional. This is in huge part to the amazing writing from the development team, and to the amazing voice acting, especially from Ashley Birch and Hannah Rebecca Tilley. These two sell the fact that Chloe and Max were long-lost friends. They both sell every scene they are in, and my personal favorite scene with these two is when Chloe double dogs Max to kiss her. This scene is very beautiful on so many levels. It can mean a lot of different things depending on your choices. This scene could mean that Chloe is very into Max and just hid it under her dare, or it's just a friendly platonic kiss. Either way, this scene was just plain amazing and helped me get more attached to Chloe and Max. Another scene that I love is the scene where Chloe and Max are just chilling in a pool together. I love how they just talk about life, ponder all of their mistakes, and wonder about the future, like actual people. And by far the most emotional scene in this game is when you see all the memories you and Chloe made together. This scene hits home so well because of the well-written friendship between Chloe and Max. This scene also does a great job of setting up the emotional, gratifying endings because it starts putting some serious moral questions in your head like, will I sacrifice Chloe to save all of Arcadia Bay, or will I indirectly kill all these people to keep the one person I truly love? These were the questions inside my head during this sequence, but this sequence will be different to every player, and that's why I love both endings to this game, because there is no bad ending. Yes, there are terrible consequences in both endings, but they both end with a hint of hope. And I think that's super important because of the message of the game. Life is Strange tells you that it's going to be okay, that growing into adulthood isn't the end of the world, that life is a long road full of happiness, misery, heartbreak, love, connection, and hope. But most importantly, Life is Strange teaches you to live in the moment and enjoy those memories that you hold dear to someone while they are being made. Because once that special someone dies, all you will have left of them will be those moments, memories, and pictures of when life used to be good. Now, since we talked about everything that Life is Strange has to offer, I want to explore why this game is so nostalgic. Is it the music, the setting, the visuals, the story, the characters, or possibly maybe even the gameplay? No, it's all of these things. The music, the setting, the visuals, the story, the characters, and even the gameplay combine to make for the ultimate nostalgic experience. Because one, it creates this infectious atmosphere that anyone can feel nostalgic for, and two, almost anyone can relate to going to school, to long-lost friends, to listening to music to cool down, and a fantasy of having superpowers. This phenomenon is called Stranger's Nostalgia, because even though we haven't exactly gone through what these characters have gone through, we can still relate to them. We can relate to their anger, confusion, and the wonder why life is so mysterious and how the characters deal with it. We can relate to the fact that these characters are trying to navigate throughout the world like the rest of us. We can relate to the friendships like Max and Chloe because we all have friendships. That's why I think Life is Strange is so nostalgic, because of its universal relatability to anyone who plays this beautiful, hopeful, and flawed game. Overall, Life is Strange is a fantastic game that everyone, even non-gamers, should play, because this game was actually crafted with heart. You can tell that the developers put every ounce of their blood, sweat, and tears into this game. The visuals are awe-inducing, and the lighting in this game is next level, and though the character models are bad and the lip sync is even worse, the visuals shine through its originality and the blend between realistic lighting and the hand-drawn art style that this game totally nails. The music in this game is perfect and captures everything the game is trying to say, and elevates the emotion to such great heights that anyone with a soul will cry at least once in this game. The gameplay is by far the weakest part of Life is Strange, and it could have been so much more than what we were given. The story in Life is Strange is a wonderful piece of art, albeit with a few big problems. But it shines through its character writing, the simple but effective scenes, and the sheer, raw emotion that protrudes through the screen to the player by the fantastic performances given by Ashley Birch and Hannah Rebecca Telly. Life is Strange is an amazing game, but far from perfect. But I think that's the charm of this game. Nothing is perfect, and nothing will ever be perfect. All we can do as humans is navigate through this beautiful, hopeful, and unnatural phenomenon that we call life. Because life is strange.